Hey everybody, it's Ryan. In this video, I'm going to share how to swap out a wheel hub on a four-wheel drive. This just so happens to be a '09 Chevy Tahoe LT 4x4. And I'm going to share every single tool needed to do this job by yourself. It should only take maybe an hour or two. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share a little secret hack of how to get a wheel that might be creaking or making some weird suspension noises. The suspension is good, but because of the age, it might be creaking a little bit, and how to go about fixing that with just a little bit of specific liquid. Check this out. Now, I've never done this before, but I pretty much know what I need to do. And so this particular wheel hub comes with the speed sensor. I think it's a speed sensor or ABS sensor. It has a cord that's going to replace the existing one. I'm going to share how to connect that. I'm also going to share how to use I'm going to call it a wheel hub or CV joint or axle joint bolt using a 36 millimeter. I thought it was a 35. I stuck it on there. I was like, I ain't fitting all the way. 36 millimeter. A little hack on how to get it off easier. I'll share that here in a sec. If you don't have a breaker bar, a little hack as well is just get some metal tubing fitted over your socket, and then you can give you some extra leverage, just like this. So the first thing to note is that these rims are OEM rims, but they are black coated in a vinyl spray. So this isn't a rubber spray, it's a vinyl spray, which is very different. These things, this product right here is fantastic. And then after it's dried, then I put ceramic trim coats on the vinyl, and it is a game changer. So for example, here's a close-up of the difference. This has got salt and grime all over the rim. Well, this part right here, not even with the microfiber towel, you just wipe it right off. So when you have this vinyl coating on there, and the reason I'm sharing this is because some people might be like, I've never seen anything like that before. It just comes right off. This isn't even a wet towel, not even microfiber towel. It literally just comes off because the ceramic coating just allows it to come off. And again, this is like salt and grime from snow and everything, as noted on the vehicle, but it comes off very, very easy. Again, I just thought I'd share that, try to do a full comprehensive video here. Now, another best practice is before you jack the vehicle all the way up using a floor jack, my recommendation is right when it's getting ready to leave the ground, then come in and loosen up all your bolts. Just loosen them, don't take them off, just loosen them a little bit. Also, take your axle bolt. Again, it's still sitting on the ground. Use your breaker bar, and it's still not loose that I can twist in my hand, but I broke it free. All right, now that you have all the lug nuts off, what you can do is actually confirm, which they should fit, the replacement. I'm not sure why they wouldn't fit, but they definitely fit, no big deal. So now we're gonna take off this one bolt here. All right, we're gonna use a T30, I call them star, but I guess they're like hex bolts. And we're gonna take this thing off. And what you might do, because this is gonna want to torque a little bit, it's gonna spin, just take a screwdriver and stick it between the gap here, rotor. You're gonna stick this between this and the rotor, just so it doesn't spin, and you can take it right off. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the actual brake assembly, the actual caliper assembly as a whole. And so you have two bolts. You have one up here and one at the bottom, down here. And so these are 3/4 sockets, and you just loosen them up and then you're good to go. All right, and so before you take the last bolt off, just to keep some tension on there, because you've already loosened up your axle bolt, you're gonna stick the screwdriver through there to lock it in again, and you're gonna take off the nut. These two pieces, the actual hub and this, are gonna wanna come off. So that's gonna go up there. we're going to make sure that we're not going to put any tension on this cord right here. We don't want to put any tension on this brake line, or you can damage this, and then you got a lot of work to do. Using a cable or something and just kind of strapping that in place, just enough to where when we're kind of trying to bang this off, this actual hub, where you might be vibrating some stuff, and you don't want this thing to fall. So now that we have that out of the way, this whole assembly will just come right off, just like that. You can inspect it and see if it needs to be replaced. If not, just set it aside. All right, now you have 3 bolts. 3 bolts that are going to match up with, the 1, 2, 3 bolts on this assembly. So on the back side here, we have 1, 2, and there's a third one down there. So to get the bolts off the back, you're going to need a 15 millimeter socket wrench, some penetrating fluid. If you do, you're going to want to spray it on the back side, and then also on the front side here, and kind of let it marinate, as they say. And you can kind of see there, this is soak in here, then soak in here on the back side. And yeah, pretty long bolt, goes all the way through. So in the beginning, we showed that there's this wire. So this wire here goes all the way up, and it clamps on, and we're going to disconnect that. Now, if you don't have one of these trim kits, they're awesome. It's got all different types of stuff on this. Actually, I've done a review on this as well. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pop off all these little connections, and you're going to find the right tool to do the job. Like butter. This has got like a little, you pinch and pull. So we're going to be able to get this off like that. All right. Little mounts. We're going to stick this under there. So if you didn't want to damage it, obviously you could reuse it, because this thing is so cool. So to make this one a little bit easier to get to, we are going to use a 10 millimeter. Just loosen this a little bit. And it's going to allow us to get some play here, and then we can get in there and dig it out. And here it comes. Just like that. Pretty cool. Now the fun part is going to be tapping on the back side of this all the way around until it comes out. There's a washer right here. I guess I should take that out too. Don't lose this. I kid you not. I have been worried about this. Literally, I just took my finger, pushed the middle, that's it. And it came right off. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So you're going to save this, keep it in the right orientation. Hang that right there. So what we want to do before we put this back on is clean this out. And this can be done with like a little bit of sandpaper. This out here, you want to keep this flush. Just want to get the grime off the inside of this so it doesn't lock up. I mean, I got lucky. This thing just came right off. No big deal. Yeah, it'll make it easy for this thing to slide on nice and neat and in place. Another best practice is to put some grease. Go ahead and put some grease, a little bit, just a little bit of grease on the inside, just to help it slide on and prevent any kind of corroding. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the new cable. It's gonna get through this hole right here. Pull it kind of through a little bit. And then as we lift this up, kind of push it through. I guess you could do this too. Gonna match that up like that. Slide it on. And you're going to kind of push it in place so it's all the way, it sits all the way in there. Line up this back plate, line up the front plate, make sure this cable is kind of kind of comes from behind. When you're fishing the bolts through, be very mindful that you don't want to force it on. And so if you can't get a good hand turn on it and kind of line it up, then pull it back off and adjust it and get these all three hand tightened. Because if you put it in there and you start ratcheting it down and you can't hand tighten it, then you could definitely strip the, I guess you could strip the new bearing that you just took all this time and effort. So if you clean these up, and since this is brand new, it's not going to have any rust on it. And if you clean any kind of rust that you have on the actual bolts, they should be able to hand tighten. So these are all the way down, hand tightened, and I haven't even put the socket on it yet. And so then you know you got it lined up. You can press it on there, and you can get it in there exactly where you want it. Also, from a recommendation is don't do one all the way tight. Slowly, as if you're doing lug nuts, you're going to kind of hand tighten all three of these and kind of go back and forth so you have a nice flat setting. You want it to be flush on the mount, because if for whatever reason it's not flush, you're going to have some issues with it being out of balance and not lined up, and that's not a good thing. All right, so now we're going to reverse the process on putting these clamps on. This one just pushes in there. This is still a little bit loose. Come around. Get our connector. Line it up. Snap it into place. And then this goes right there. Like a glove. All right, we're going to tighten this bolt now, making sure it's perfectly horizontal like it was before. That's nice and tight. Nothing's binding. That's good. So besides this looking nice, this is now nice and smooth, which is how it's supposed to be. We're going to make sure we line up that extra bolt that bolts us on, which is going to go right there. That's going to screw in. All right, now we're going to put our caliper back on. So we're going to unstrap it. And I've seen a couple people take the actual brake assembly off And I guess, that's one way to do it. Make sure we don't have any grease. All right, we're gonna line that up. Remember, we have 2 of these bolts. They're gonna bolt this in the back side. All right, now we're gonna put washer. Don't forget the washer. And we're gonna take this. We're gonna pinch. And I believe on this, you're gonna wanna torque it to, I think it's about 170 pounds. If you have a torque wrench, you wanna do that. All right, before we put the wheel back on, this right here is like a secret hack. If your vehicle is clunking or the suspension is not as, is kind of making noises and creaks, and this is a polymer AT205 reseal. It's used a lot of times pouring in the oil, which I'm an advocate of, especially on older vehicles. It will minimize, if not, in my case, stop oil leaks, but it works great because it's a polymer on restoring rubber. And so anything where there's like rubber, here, anywhere in the suspension, here, here especially, you can see that's kind of starting to kind of weather right there. Here for sure, even here, all over there around the suspension. You spray this on and let it sit, and it will soak it up. It will soak it up. You can kind of just saturate it, or wherever you can obviously reach. There's some stuff in there you can get to, and it will kind of rejuvenate, for lack of a better word. It's going to rejuvenate this rubber, and I don't know how it really works. I don't spray it on. I definitely don't want to spray it on this. Probably won't damage it, but I'm going to spray it on anything rubber associated with the suspension. I'll just let it soak in down in there where the shock absorber is mounted, under here, like really soak it in good. All right, that is exactly what it takes to do a wheel hub swap. All the tools and the time and the techniques to pull this off. Hopefully all your questions got answered, and we'll talk to you soon.